Second week of stage 1 has concluded, and so let's get right into the Pickems for week 3 and week 2 for Americas. And before we're gonna do that, as always, we're gonna take a quick look at the ELO ratings. So without further ado, let's get right into the first region, which is gonna be China. And so for China, we had 2 super weeks, so the majority of the matches have been concluded at this point. Every team will only have one more match, and then I think VLR says something about seeding matches then coming up. I don't know about that. What that's gonna be like, we'll have to wait and see. They are scheduled to be on Saturday and Sunday, so I don't know exactly, but we'll see. So for the ELO ratings, we have in first XLG, then Tailu, then EDG, and then BLG in fourth. And I would probably agree with that these are the top 4 teams in China right now. I think BLG is maybe the most questionable out of these, since they had a rough loss last week. But yeah, apart from that, like with that out of account, I would still say these are the 4 best teams in China right now. Then we have AG, DRG, and Trace and DRG, and I would say, yeah, they are probably like a group of 3 who come then after these top 4. And then we've got Tech, who are still way too high. I don't know how it keeps happening. I guess it's because they play really close on most of their maps, but then still lose. But because of that, they don't lose a lot of elo rating on that map. So that's why they are much higher than what their game score suggests, and then how good they are, right? It doesn't help you if you play every map close if you still end up losing. And then after we've got JDG, then Wolves, FPX, who are really underrated by this. I think the JDG are also kind of underrated, but FPX are for sure a bit too low on this. And then in last place we have Nova. But now let's head right into the pick'ems. And so last week again, I went 10 and 2, so I got 10 out of the 12 correct. I was only wrong about the 2 upsets we had on the first day, with FPX beating Tailu and Tech beating BLG. Apart from that, I got all of the matches right, even like very close matches, and yeah, I'm really high up in the pick'ems, which is nice. But yeah, let's now look at the week 3 matches coming up. And for the first match, I would say I'm favoring Tailu quite heavily. I think Tailu have looked really great. Then the second match, I think, is the most interesting um out of the week 3 matches. Like I think EDG, XLG are going to be really close as well, but this is more important in terms of the seeding for playoffs. And so I would still say that DRG probably win versus Trace, even though I think it's going to be close. But I don't know. I do like DRG more as a team, and I do think they have more firepower. So yeah, I hope that that's going to come through. But Trace aren't a black team in any sense. Then FPX should be Tech. I think BLG, AG's in the other group a really important game, and from what we've seen this split, this stage, I think BLG should be favorites over AG, and that could mean that AG maybe don't even make playoffs, depending on how it's gonna go, and maybe with seeding matches, they didn't have a shot regardless. But yeah, that could be really rough for them. Then I think Wolves should win versus Nova. Nova not looked competitive in any of their games really. And then I would still favor, or I would with this current roster, with how they are looking, I would favor EDG over XIG, even though kind of the thing EDG usually do in stage one is that they, or in these stages, is that they never come in first and then always perform better in playoffs. Or it happened early on. Last year, not so much, but yeah, still, I think EDG have looked better than XIG thus far, I think. And yeah, these are my pickings for China. So now let's head into Americas. And so Americas only has had 1 week of play since they started later, so these ELO ratings are not gonna be as telling. In first place there's G2, then 100 Thieves, then NRG, then in fourth somehow Envy. I don't know how they ended up here. They are for sure way too high, but I think the more matches are gonna be played, the further they'll drop down. I think Furia in fifth are maybe a bit low with the match versus NRG. They look really good. I didn't think they would be as good coming into stage one. I thought they would drop off a bit, but seems like they are still keeping strong. Then C9 in sixth, and then MIBR, who I think are really low or quite low in this as well. They should be much higher. They just beat G2 after all, who are by quite a big margin in first, so I thought this win would mean more in terms of the ELO rating, but I think over time MIB are gonna steadily climb up, since I think they are one of the probably three best teams in Americas right now. Then Lev, they also looked really great in the win versus C9, so I think they should be a bit higher too. Then after them Crew, I also thought they looked quite decent versus Sentinels, so they look like a very decent middle of the pack team. Then we have Sentinels, Loud, and EG, with Sentinels and Loud not really looking inspiring. I think Loud looked at least decent, right? They managed to win versus Envy with a sub, so that should give some hope to the team for once they can play with their full roster. I don't know when that's gonna happen. But yeah, it does look promising for Loud. EG and Envy, for them it looks kind of rough after week one. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But now let's head into the pick'ems. And so in week one, I only went 2 and 4. I did guess wrong on the match that I thought would be really close in MIBRG2. And then Furia wasn't as good as I thought they would be versus NRG. I kind of hoped Lev would look as good as they did, but I didn't quite have the trust, so I feel really good about this, but obviously still got that wrong. And then Envy looked worse than I thought, and Loud looked way better than I thought with a sub. So yeah, these were the 4 games that I got wrong. So yeah, he's hoping I do better in week 2. Surely it can only go up. And the first match is gonna be C9 versus Cloud versus Envy, which C9 should win. Furia should win versus EG. I think G2 versus Lev could be a close match because G2 didn't look as good as I thought, and Lev looked better than I thought, but I would still favor G2. I still think that they come into this match as favorites. But yeah, if Lev win this, then I'm gonna be really hyped for this team. Like, I'm already really high on this team now. I think they are a team that can contend for maybe making an international at some point this year, which would be really exciting. I really like the squad. But yeah, for the moment, I still think G2 should be a bit better. Then MIBR should win versus Loud still. I don't know the situation with Loud and their sub, but MIBR looked really incredible nevertheless, so gonna probably favor MIBR over any other team for the moment. And then NRG should win versus Crew. I think this should be fairly one-sided. And 100 Thieves should also win versus Sentinels, also fairly one-sided match. And yeah, these are my Pickems for America's Week 2. And so next up we have EMEA, and in first place we have Team Liquid. Then after Gentlemates, I have no clue how Gentlemates are still that high up. They haven't looked great thus far, so I think they're gonna drop down over the course of stage 1, I mean. Then Foot in third place, which might seem maybe a tad high, but they have looked really good thus far in stage 1. Then Vitality and Fnatic. I think Fnatic have clearly looked better than Vitality in their match, right? So they just seemed like a comprehensively better team. But yeah, I think Fnatic should be a bit higher in this. Maybe swap with Gentlemates. Then Team Heretics next up. I think they're a bit too high. Then BBL, who are maybe a tad low. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this team right now. Then Navi, who once they have the full roster, or now that it's reported with Comeback being the one to be the replacement substitute for Exit, he is probably gonna elevate this team, with Kolosha kind of having a hard time since he couldn't really practice that much with the team. So I feel for Kolosha, but Comeback has had more practice in Tier 1 generally, so I think he's gonna work out better for the team as a sub. So I look forward to seeing them play. Then Giant X, who hasn't really looked exciting at all. Then Eternal Fire, they are for sure being underrated by the ELO rating. It's probably a lot due to them just not having a lot of success during kickoff, and so that's probably haunting them a bit. But they should climb during the course of stage 1, since they looked really good. And then Pacific and KC in the last 2 places. These 2 teams have not looked exciting at all. So yeah, nothing really surprising here. But now let's head into the Pickems. And last week I went 3-3. I got wrong the Eternal Fire upset over BBL. I wouldn't really say that was foreseeable, even though Eternal Fire looked great versus Fnatic. I still didn't think they had it in them to beat one of the who I thought would be a top 3 team in EMEA. Fnatic beating Vitality. I thought this would be a really close match, so that makes sense. And then Foot beating Navi. I did say that if Navi still had to play with the sub, Foot would probably win it. So to me, it makes sense that Foot won that game, and yeah, probably should have prepped it, but yeah, I didn't know that Navi were for sure gonna play with the sub. So yeah. But onto these week's pick'ems, I'm gonna pick BBL over Giant X. Giant X hasn't looked great, so BBL should get an easy bounce back week, easy bounce back win. And then Navi vs Gentlemates. This could be a close match since Navi will still be playing with a sub, although it's reportedly being comeback now. So I think they're gonna look better, and I think they're gonna take that win over Gentlemates, who have not looked inspiring during stage 1. Then Eternal Fire vs Vitality could be a really, really close match. I think this is gonna be a really exciting match this week. Probably the best in EMEA, or for certain. It could be that or Foot versus Team Liquid. But I think Eternal Fire versus Vitality is probably gonna be the better match. And I would probably give it to Vitality slightly, just because I think they have a bit more experience. So That's really the only thing I can go off of. But yeah, I really like watching Eternal Fire. They're a really exciting team, so yeah, maybe they can prove me wrong once again. Then next up we have Heretics versus KC, and none of these teams have really looked like incredible. That they haven't looked inspiring, but I would say Heretics have looked a bit better than KC, so they have to go for Heretics. Then Foot versus Liquid. I've touched on it before. I think this could be a really close match as well. This could be a really exciting match, and while I do think that Foot have looked like one of the best teams, like top 5 in EMEA probably, I would still give it to Team Liquid, who, yeah, they are just always so very solid in EMEA. So yeah, I don't. I think they'll be well prepped, and I think they'll look really good versus Foot. And then lastly, Fnatic should beat Pacific. I can't really see an upset happening there. Pacific haven't looked like they could really do anything. So yeah, these are my pickums for EMEA. And then lastly, we have Pacific and the ELO rating. And first we have T1, then Nongshim, who are still quite high, even though they are 0-2. But they did win Masa Santiago after all, and so the ELO rating was really high from that, so it makes sense that it's only slowly being chipped away. But I still think they're gonna be a good team, but this might be a bit high for them. Then after we have Global, then PaperX, then Full Sense, then DRX, and then Genji, and then after RRQ. And for Pacific, I'd have to say these 8 teams, they do look like the 8 best teams, but in terms of how I would order them, I've not really got a clue. Right, we had some upsets this week, so I feel even less certain about it. Like, were those truly upsets, or are DRX and Genji actually quite good? RRQ I would probably put below most of the other teams. They haven't looked that good. They've kind of just played bad opponents. And T1 has probably looked like the best team, but apart from that, I can't really tell. I think if you put maybe Nongshim a bit lower, and I think or put Global behind like PaperX, then and maybe DRX a bit higher, into like third maybe, then that's how I would rank these teams. But yeah, I'm not too sure about it. Then after these 8 teams, we have ZFM, Veril, Zeta, and Team Secret, who all haven't really done much, and they all haven't looked that good. Maybe Zeta has looked the best out of these 4, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. But yeah, these are the ELO ratings for Pacific, and now let's head into the Pickems. And so last week I went 4-2. I got the 2 upsets that I've already spoken about. Wrong with DRX beating Nongshim and Genji beating PepperX. Really didn't see either of these 2 coming. So yeah, let's head into the week 3 Pickems. And first up, I think Footsins should beat Veril. It should be fairly one-sided. PepperX versus Team Secret should be even more one-sided, I think. DRX versus GE, this could be a really, really close match. I think this is gonna be a banger. And I think I really don't know who I would give it to out of these 2 teams. I think I'm gonna come back to it in a minute. Zeta versus ZFM, this could also be a really close match. I think coming into stage 1, that FM should have been or were expected to be better than Zeta, but then Zeta has looked more solid in terms of yeah, just the game plan really, and individually I would still favor that FM, but in terms of macro Zeta, but I'm gonna go for the individuals and go for the FM. I think T1 should be favorites versus RRQ, and then Nongshim versus Genji. It could be a really close match, and even though Genji just upset Paper X, I think this match is way more important for Nongshim, because if they go 0-3, it's gonna look really bad for them. So they'll be really ready. They're gonna give it their all, like 110% for them, and they can't really make any fault from this point onward, kind of. So I'm gonna give it to Nongshim, even though I think it is possible that Genji take this match if they look as good as they did versus Pepper X. And then for DRX versus Global, I'm still really uncertain. I hope maybe I would get an inkling after I do the other matches first, but yeah, I don't know. I think if we like look at the quality of opponent that these two have beat, they actually have beaten Nongshim, and Global only beat Genji when Genji really didn't look great. I mean, both obviously beat Secret, but yeah, that's not impressive. So I'd say the more impressive win goes to DRX versus Nongshim, and they did look quite good in that match, and it was more recent. And GE maybe had 2 easier matches, so because of that, I'm gonna give it to DRX. But yeah, since yeah, just based off how long I've thought about this, you can kind of tell how close I think this is gonna be. So realistically, could go either way. But yeah, this is how I've gone for it. So yeah, these are my pick'ems for Pacific. But let me know how you guys think about my pick'ems, and then we're gonna see each other maybe for the China seeding matches, if there's gonna be a pick'em for them. I don't know. And if not, then we're probably gonna see each other next week.